Too many people played Golgari. That's what really caused the virus outbreak.
No, I'm telling you, it's the resurgence of mono black pox in modern.
Sod it, that's the opening. Sod it. Welcome to Chillin and Millin. That's the opening now. Those two, I was trying to think of an opening, and those two are just like, you know what? Let's talk about let's make jokes about coronavirus.
Yeah, of course. Like, it's mandatory, right? You're in a podcast now. You've got to make jokes about being in isolation and the world getting sick.
The thing is, there's a good thing here, which is that YouTube are demonetizing anything that talks about coronavirus. We were never monetized in the first place, so that doesn't affect us.
I say, joke's on them. We don't get paid from this. Not enough people care about us.
I wondered if that was because of my my comment on Hearthstone with the what was it? With how they shut down the streamers. I wondered if that was.
Oh, so you insulted Blizzard, and then Blizzard were like, "No, they shall never get paid."
I thought it was last time when you were trying to think of the name Richard Garfield, and you ended up talking about God, what's his name?
Gary Gygax.
That's it. Yeah. Look, I don't remember. Look,
guys, I'm just a liability to this podcast.
You're both a bloody liability.
I can't remember the name Gary Gygax. Come on, like.
It's not like he's one of the most famous people in nerddom or anything.
I'm sure he is. Doesn't mean that I know his name.
Once again, I have played Dungeons and Dragons with you multiple times.
Yeah, I've done many things that I don't know the name of the creators of. I'm looking at my Lenovo PC. I don't know who made it.
Senorita J. Lenovo, duh.
Oh, females. We're empowering CEOs. Brilliant. Anyway, yeah, welcome to Chillin and Millin. As you can tell, we've not been speaking to people for the last, oh god, should we date this podcast? We've been in isolation for what?
Jesus.
3 weeks?
3 weeks now?
Is it been 3 weeks?
I think it's been 3 weeks.
I have not been productive for 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think it's actually only 2.5 weeks for me. That's when the university officially shut down, and I stole a load of equipment.
How did you take the coolant laser home with you?
So there's about $2,000 worth of university computing equipment sat in my front room now.
Are you allowed to have that, or did you just take it? Well, it's not like any of them listen to this. Hi, Will's department.
But yes, we're about 3 weeks into Netflix and chilling.
Yeah,
with viruses. So,
Chillin and Netflix.
And Netflix, yeah. That's yeah. So we yeah.
You can see we all still have our brains.
I was gonna say, shall we introduce ourselves?
That's a good idea.
Let's introduce ourselves before the madness makes us forget our own names.
Should we start with you, Will? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll start with me. So I'm William. I'm the podcast's L1 judge. I'm mainly interested in constructed formats, so I play a lot of Modern and Pioneer and Canadian Highlander. I'm currently locked up in my apartment, going mad. Luckily enough,
at least you've got Johnny.
No, I don't have Johnny. Okay.
Johnny,
so
no. What happened to him? Will, Johnny, what did you do to him?
So me and Johnny have done a switcheroo. Johnny's staying with his girlfriend, and my girlfriend is staying with me. So we haven't gone completely mad.
Are you sure he's not dead?
I'm not sure. He's only been with his partner for about 3 months when he moved in with her full time because of the virus. So he may well be dead.
Oh boy. Ooh. I've heard that happen to quite a few people though. Like...
Yeah.
Well, just get killed.
Oh no, not
my brain went, Sam, what are you listening to? They were just like, I moved in with my girlfriend. What happened? She's dead. You've been watching too much Tiger King, mate.
God, please don't. I'm not all the way through that yet.
I haven't even started watching it. I just know that there's a woman that's accused of murdering her husband.
Oh yeah, no, okay. So Tiger King is like, it's possibly the trashiest thing I've watched all year. And I did a rewatch of the quintessential quintuplets recently, and it's still the trashiest thing I've watched all year.
Oh my god! What about the other person? Who are you?
Oh
god, he's forgotten.
Sorry, I was about to say who's the other guy, but it was a shit joke. It didn't come together. Ignore me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm Sam. I'm interested in all the casual formats, as well as Pauper Brawl for some reason.
When did you get into that? Because that's a real push.
So that was last Saturday. Our local game store decided to host Pauper events, and they started doing Pauper Brawl. And I immediately broke the format by using 7 dwarves in a mono red deck.
Nice.
It's not on
The annoying thing is you can't even use Mirror March.
No, you can't.
Damn it.
Oh, God.
Wait, why can't you use Mirror March?
Pauper.
It's a rare.
Oh, it's a rare.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's actually a really fun format. But that's me. I do casual stuff.
Who's your commander in Mono Red? Who's the uncommon commander?
So it has to be. Well, it doesn't have to be, but it's Anax, hardened in the Forge.
That would make sense.
So whenever someone kills a thing, you just get a 1/1 Satyr, banana Satyr. Keep swinging.
Banana Satyr.
Oh dear. But yeah, that's me. We also have our illustrious host, who's somehow keeping us all together.
At what point did I say we should record this podcast, and how many days has it been since we've cancelled it?
About 3 weeks. I swear we've been trying to do this.
I'm not even joking here. I'm looking at our chat online right now, where we were supposed to record this on Sunday, and then it was like, hey, we can't do Sunday, how about Monday? Then it was like, hey, I can't do Monday, what about Tuesday? Hey, I can't do Tuesday, what about Wednesday? Hey, I can't do Wednesday, how about Thursday? And I was sat here about 2 minutes before these two dudes showed up, and I'm sat there like, this isn't going to happen. I'm convinced. I'm Hugh, by the way. I'm the podcast dude. I'm interested in every format that isn't Legacy and Vintage because I value having money. But no, I'm Pioneer, Modern, Brawl, Commander, Standard, you name it, I play it. Not Historic, but we'll get to that because I think Historic's a garbage format for garbage people. Strong words.
Huh?
Yeah, here we go.
Look. I'll start this and be very, very quick about it. Historic is people who want to play Modern, but only have access to Arena.
Surely it'll be Historic is people who want to play Pioneer but only play Arena.
But okay, both.
Okay.
Surely it's people who want to play Legacy but only Arena.
Look, you leave the cycling lands out of this. They're in Modern. It is the cube is its redeeming feature. We'll get on to that.
I've heard good things about the cube.
Well, I've been playing it a lot. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it on our second section today.
Nice. You mean we have a plan?
We do. We made it while we were still sane, and then this happened. Shall we get on with it, Will?
Hugh, what's been in the news recently?
What? I got really confused there. I'm like, what?
I hear there's been like a new set or maybe something spoiled or whatnot.
For a moment there, I thought you were allowing me to bitch about the fetch lands.
No, bad Hugh, no.
What's been in the news recently? I'm like, well, there's been a fetch and I'm angry about it, but I'm apparently
We've discussed this, Hugh.
Apparently I'm banned from being able to talk about this. I hear there's a new set. Is that what you wanted me to say?
Yes. Ikora, Lair of Behemoths.
It's Ikoria, mate, not Ikora.
Is it Ikoria?
Yes.
At time of recording, we're knee deep in Ikoria, Lair of Behemoths spoilers. And like last time, I think that all three of us agreed, basically, we don't want to go through and do like the full spoiler list, what's good and what's not, what's hot and what's not.
If you're listening to this, you know about most of them already.
Yeah, basically. So next time we record, I'm not going to say next week.
About 2 months' time.
Yeah.
We're probably going to do what we did last time, where we all have like our favourite picks from the set and have a chat about them and what we're excited about. But
get your bingo cards ready. In the middle, it's just going to read, someone picks an otter.
Well, the otter might come up. I'm not going to lie in this one. But they did announce all of the mechanics for the set. And we just wanted to go through them and have a chat with them, see what we're all thinking about them. Because some of them are a bit...
You're right, cycling. How you doing, mate? How do you feel about being in another set?
So yeah, we'll just have a chat about them, and because some of them are a bit weird, really. In fact, I'd say like all of the ones that aren't returning mechanics are quite weird.
I mean, there are essentially 4 mechanics in the set, I'd argue.
Yes.
And I'd argue that 2 of them are weird, 2 of them are okay to get your head around.
Well, I'd argue one of them's incredibly easy to get your head around. One of them's fine. It's just it's a departure from a current mechanic, or mechanic in big air quotes. And then there's 2 bizarro ones, which, yeah.
We'll talk. Well, I've already mentioned the first one. How is cycling doing?
Cycling is doing pretty well, actually. So cycling is a returning mechanic for Ikoria Lair of Behemoths, last seen in the Armenket block.
I believe so. Unless you want to talk about Modern Horizons, where it appeared quite a bit because the cycle basic lands got printed in it.
Yeah, I'm almost not counting that one just because not standard legal and stuff.
Because pretty much every mechanic was in there. And
apart from the cycling lands, which I think I've only really seen play in Dredge. I know Dredge plays a couple of them now.
I saw the occasional one being used in Storm.
Yeah, so it hasn't really made that much of an impact. But when cycling was in standard, it was, I think, fairly widely played, not as a main mechanic, but as a little side thing of you can occasionally cycle some stuff.
It was you had stuff like Sensor, which worked well definitely. as a nice little cycling thing. Do you need an early game counterspell? You play a Sensor. Do you is it now turn 4 or 5 and they can absolutely play that 1 mana to cast their extra thing? Cycle it away.
So so cycling is going to be making a return here, and if you don't know what cycling is, because you're newer to the game or you've just cycling is when a card has a cycling cost, and you can pay that cost and discard the card and then draw the card. There may also be some effects that care when a card is cycled, if they're on the battlefield,
or when this card is cycled.
Or when this card is cycled. I will just point out from a rules point of view, if a card has a trigger that says when this card is cycled, it will go on the stack above the cycling trigger. So that effect will happen first, and then you will draw a card. Don't get a judge called on you.
Can we talk about the one cycling card that unfortunately have had to already be errated in this new set?
Oh, I didn't know there'd been an errata.
Oh, you know how we're currently living in a deadly time.
Aye, we are.
And you know how Toho have partnered with Wizards of the Coast for the box stoppers.
Oh yeah, for all the Godzilla cards, which are looking pretty cool actually.
They look awesome.
So Mechagodzilla is one of the faces of one of the cycling cards. It's an 8-drop, or I think it's an 8 or a 7-drop 8/8 Death Toucher, but you can cycle it and give something a Death Touch counter. We'll talk about that. So that's Mechagodzilla. Do you know what the name of Mechagodzilla's ultimate attack is in the Toho universe?
Oh, I know this. Wait, no. That's Space Godzilla I'm thinking of, the one that they've had to errata and aren't going to be printing.
It might be Space Godzilla. Anyway, their special attack is the Corona Beam.
Yeah.
Ouch.
It's Space Godzilla, and the original name for it was Space Godzilla Death
Corona. Those cards are going to be worth a lot of money.
Man,
yeah. So did you read what they were doing with that?
They're errataing it all on online and arena, and on the second printing they've changed its name.
No, that it's just not going to be included in the printing.
I thought they'd already done some of the printing. I thought.
Yes. So the first print will be Godzilla, Space Godzilla, Death Corona, and then it's just not going to be in the later.
Yeah, hence why I'm saying that card is going to be worth a significant amount of money.
I think it is. I think it will be a cool collector's thing. I think it's just funny. Like, I don't think it's Wizards of the Coast's fault that.
Oh no! Literally, those games were probably set down 6 or 7 months ago.
Yeah,
easily.
Yeah.
Like they make sets
definitely.
so far in advance. It's
If someone decided that thing's name in February, then there's an issue. But
yeah. It's just unfortunate.
I remember cycling from Cat. I remember there being a Drake's deck based around it because there was a one which allowed you to make your cycling cost 0, and then you could cycle things away to make Drakes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's never really made an impact in other formats, really. Modern doesn't really see cycling, and I don't think there's too much cycling in Commander either.
Well,
that's not okay.
Commander.
Okay,
I mean,
Sam, you talk about Commander.
All right. I mean, first of all, it's worth noting because I didn't know this when I played Cat. You can cycle at instant speed.
Yes,
it's an activated ability, so you can by default do it at instant speed.
Which is mad if it's on a sorcery, you could do it. But anyway, cycling. There's a set of Commander decks coming out. There's going to be 5, which is mad. One of them is a Cycling Matters deck. So cycling might matter in Commander.
It'll be interesting to see because I think once a Commander deck is printed around a specific mechanic, that mechanic does become more played. Because if I remember correctly, the 5 decks are going to be the 4 new mechanics and then 1 humans deck, isn't it? I believe, anyway.
That's the impression I get. Yeah, I haven't kept up with it too much. I think that mutate, instant speed, cycling.
There's a Spells Matters one. There's a Spells Matters one instead of counters, I think.
Oh, is that how it works?
Yeah, it's something Spells Matters. It's not Jeskai. I think it might be Naya.
I was very happy that it wasn't Jeskai. Because I was sat there and I'm like, what Jeskai does not need is another, excellent commander.
Yeah.
They are doing some surprisingly good reprints with it, though, I'll say.
Yeah, they've reprinted Fluctuator and stuff. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and they're reprinting a load of Planeswalkers.
Yeah. The Planeswalkers.
Yeah, they are, aren't they? Playable Planeswalkers as well. So they're reprinting Jace, the mono blue, or most Jace is mono blue. There's a mono blue Jace. I can't remember his name right now, and he sees
Vince's Architect or something.
Yeah, and he sees play a lot of playing Pioneer in blue-white control, in some blue-white control builds. It's like the 4-mana Planeswalker.
Yeah, because the 5 commanders, one is about counters, one is about cycling, one is about humans, one's about mutate, and one is about spell slinging.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
The spell slinging one looks the most powerful, but that's just me.
So cycling does appear in both Modern and Pioneer, but it's mainly as just happens to be like some spells you happen to cast have cycling, and that makes them worth playable. So the big one that tends to appear in Modern Pioneer is Hieroglyphic Illumination.
And even then, it's not really that major.
It's in control decks. It's pretty nice. It appears to be the preferred 4-mana draw spell in Pioneer over stuff like Glimmer of Genius.
I've never seen it played in Modern.
I have. I've seen it played loads. It's like a blue-white control thing.
Everything's a blue-white control thing.
Yeah. And like I say, Center is fairly widely played in Pioneer in like control or tempo decks.
It was played a lot in Standard in its time as well.
Yeah. So I suspect some of these cycling cards will see some play. I think it will be a house in Limited because it always is.
Yeah. Turns out having cards that just allow you to draw more cards is always good.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Especially since most of these cycling cards seem to have a when you cycle, do a thing.
Yeah. And that's when they're always sweet. So the second mechanic, once again in air quotes, because it's not really mechanic, and I don't think we're gonna have much to say about this. I think it's just cool. Is keyword counters. So now 5 different mechanics can have counters in this set. So that is Menace, First Strike, Hexproof, Lifelink, and Reach. And obviously +1/+1. Oh no, there's way more. Flying, Trample, Death Touch, and Vigilance can also have it. Sorry, that's my bad.
I was going to say it's most keywords.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Is it just all the evergreen keywords, basically?
I think a lot of them. But then again, stuff like Prowess is technically an evergreen mechanic now. And
Oh, true. Yeah.
If I were to read off Cathril, Aspect Warper, which is the commander that cares about this, the ones that it states are Flying, First Strike, Double Strike, Death Touch, Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, Reach, Trample, and Vigilance.
Yeah. Okay. So it's most of the evergreen mechanics. Like it's the evergreen mechanics that have actually been around for a long time.
Yeah.
These counters act like any other counters. They can when they get put on creature, but apart from when they get put on the creatures, they gain that keyword.
I really like the ability to swap those counters around. So I like ones where it's like, shift a counter from one thing to another thing and stuff like that. I like in a very, very weird one, I'm looking forward to going back and playing some Unstable, because there is a card in Unstable which is you may give one of your creatures any kind of counter from Magic's history, which means that I can now give something a keyword ability for fun.
That's pretty cool.
I will say there is one stipulation here. There's one thing that I'm not 100% full on, which is this may be a real arse to keep a handle on if you're not careful.
That's the one thing I'm not looking forward to. So if any of these cards do become long-term playable, which I think they possibly might do, keeping track of this might become an absolute faff.
We're going to have to print. Well, either you have small little things in your deck box which you can then place on something to say, here's my vigilance counter, or something else. But it's going to be a little tricky, because it's not like you can just count up in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or you can just, like, if it's like a silver counter, you can just put a small silver dot on it. This is like something that actually matters which kind of counters on it. So it may become a bit of an issue later on, but I like it.
So in constructed formats, like, people tend to bring their own counters. People tend to be pretty good for counters, and like people have infinite colored dice, so you can probably just say, okay, these red dice are my haste. And haste isn't one of them, is it?
No, hey, I believe haste is one of them. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, this red dice is my haste dice. If it's got a red dice on it, it's got haste. What I think is going to be more of an ask for is in limited. If you don't have the dice, and there's lots of these floating around, it might be a bit of a bother.
I'm going to say a spicy hot take here and say that I think this limited environment is going to be very user friendly.
Depends.
I think there's going to be a lot of draft events for newer players who are going to have a lot of stuff explained to them very early on, because there's some weird mechanics here.
Yeah, the pre-release is going to be. It'll probably be okay for counters, because I think they're going to print more of the. You remember the Armenket kind of pop out ones?
I hope we get those, because
we are.
Oh, good.
But it's going to be hard for new players, especially with Mutate and things like that. I mean, it's going to be
What
awkward
is
to explain it. Yeah, let's go on to that.
Okay, so I'm going to put before the next two, I'm going to put a bit of a covering my own arse.
An asterisk.
Yeah, these two mechanics are very complicated, and do not take what I say here as gospel or correct. Even Marrow has already got something wrong about these. So wait until the set notes come out, and if I say anything about a specific set of cards and that turns out to be wrong, it's not my fault. I've not read the set notes yet because they're not out.
And I'm going to asterisk this and say, remember that Sam is our level 6 judge, so whatever he says is correct.
Okay.
He is our judge lord.
So some cards in this set have a mechanic called Mutate. So
it's confusing bestow.
It's kind of confusing bestow. So basically, if a creature has Mutate, you can cast it for its Mutate cost instead of its normal converted mana cost. If you do choose to cast it for its Mutate cost, you have to have a non-human creature in play that it can legally target, because you're casting a creature that requires a target. That's already weird.
You are mutating another creature.
Yes. Yeah. So when you mutate a card, you either choose to place it on top or below the current creature on the battlefield.
This was the first thing that got me confused, because I started thinking, wait, does that mean that the power and toughness add together? And then someone was like, no. The one on top is the power and toughness.
So basically, the easiest way to think about it is, if you choose to put it on top, that the creature is called the creature that had Mutate. Its converted mana cost is its converted mana cost. Its color is its color. Its power and toughness is its power and toughness. And its rule text box is its rule text box plus any creatures that are below it.
The way it's been described to me is that if you mutate on top of something, you're just essentially casting the card, but whatever the thing you've put below it, that text boxed it now has. So any ability that it has, that's now on it.
Yeah, so if you cast Mutate and you choose to put it below it, the creature stays as it is, but it gains the text box of the creature that you cast with Mutate.
Yeah, the mutated ability.
Yes. So, two key important things to note here. If the target creature gets killed in response to you casting the Mutate creature, the creature with Mutate still enters the battlefield and is fine. It just
gets cast normally, doesn't it?
Yeah, it just gets cast normally, basically, with a more expensive cost.
Some of them are cheaper.
Some of them are cheaper, yes. I don't believe it counts as mutating, though.
I think I watched a little rules errata earlier, and no, it does not count as mutating.
Okay, good. If a mutated creature gets killed, so like you have a stack of creatures, and it gets killed, then all of the creatures in the stack get killed. This is what Marrow got wrong.
Did he say that the one on the bottom was going to stay?
He said, yes, the one on the bottom. Marrow said the one on the bottom would stay. That is not correct. If you kill a creature that has been mutated, all of them go to the graveyard.
The one that always got, the one that gets me is someone was like, oh, what happens if you flicker it? And they were like, what happens if you exile then bring it back to the battlefield? In which case they become two separate creatures.
Yeah, they separate out. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Which is a really weird one because that means that that is going to make Thalia decks a very strange one.
Yeah, that's going to be properly weird. There is lots of weird things going on here. It, like you say, it's similar to Bestow, but not quite
more complicated.
The same.
I think this mechanic is a bit too complicated for its own good. I like the flavor of having two creatures melding into one and becoming a weird kind of amalgamation of both. I think it's going to end up a mechanic like Merge from Eldritch Moon, in that in X many years' time, we're just going to forget it existed. Because I think it's a bit too complicated to see play casually, and I think it's not powerful enough without to really see any kind of play in actual competitive environments.
So I'm inclined to disagree. I think it's going to be one of those mechanics that makes an awful lot more sense when you actually do it than when you try and explain it. I think from everything I know of actually playing cards and stuff and using complicated mechanics and using complicated cards, I think this is going to be a mechanic that makes an awful lot more sense that when you actually play it. And 99% of like the corner cases, like flickering them or doing weird stuff with
transforming or stuff like
transforming them, aren't going to come up. And when you do, you'll call over the shop's L1 judge, and the shop's L1 judge will scratch his head for 15 minutes and tell you the answer.
Look up online.
Yeah.
I still believe that this is a mechanic that probably isn't going to see play, because not every mechanic is a knock it out the park, 10 out of 10, gonna see play everywhere else. I mean, again, we look at something like Merge, we look at that sort of thing. No one plays those cards at all.
I actually think this mechanic is less complicated than Transform. And the reason being is Transform actually has some really weird hidden rules behind it to do with hidden information or information that becomes covered. So one of the biggest confusing things with Transform is when a creature transforms, what one converted mana cost is it?
When you say transform, do you mean the one it's flipped into?
Yeah.
I'm inclined to say 0.
No, you see, you're wrong. It retains its front characteristics. Lots of mechanics have complicated layers to it. I think this is going to be fine eventually.
I'll still stick my neck out and say that I don't think this is going to see particular amounts of play many places.
But that's because it's not going to be good, not because it's complicated. Like, I think there are still a couple of good cards in it.
Every mechanic's got good cards in it. I mean, Grisella and Brazella and whatever they merged into was a good card. It never saw play anywhere.
I've seen Brazil. I've seen the smaller mythic half of that. Seen some play in like modern tempo decks.
Yes, but you've never seen the merge version, because the merge version is weirdly worse than one half of it.
Yeah, yeah.
But this is that's kind of what I'm
Mm.
saying. I think the mechanics are a little too complicated for its own good, regardless of whether or not it's going to be easy enough to play with later. And I don't think it's quite good enough to make it to the big leagues.
I think the reason why it's not going to see any play in competitive space is because it's too easy to 2-4 on yourself. I will tell you, however, what I am excited to do with it.
Go on.
So, one of the first cards they spoiled with this is the Jeskai Mythic, which is a 3/3 flyer.
Would you like me to get the card up?
Yes, please, because I've forgotten what its actual stats are.
Fantastic. We are a professional, well, not professional actually.
Professional, yeah. No, what?
We're very professional. We got training and everything.
Yeah.
The Jeskai Mythic, which is a 3/3 legendary elemental dinosaur cat.
Yes.
Flying first strike. When this creature mutates, you may cast a non-creature spell, or target non-creature spell, with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard without paying its mana cost.
So, do you know what's non-human in Modern that I want to put this on?
Is Young Pyromancer not human?
No, Young Pyromancer is human. It's human charm.
Give me a clue. What's the type?
Ghost Cleric.
Oh, Geist of St. Traft?
Geist of St. Traft.
You want to mutate Geist of St. Traft into an elemental dinosaur cat?
Yes, I do, because it's got hexproof.
Yeah, alright, sure.
It's got hexproof.
My personal favorite one is you can do this in standard with the 2-mana hexproof elf mana dork.
Oh yeah, the
entirely escapes me.
Oh.
Paradise Druid.
Oh, yeah.
It's only got hexproof if it was untapped, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and my favorite thing that I've seen so far to come out of all of this is a small animation of Paradise Druid smiling and then mutating into a disgusting 2-headed creature. And I'm thinking, oh god, yeah, that is what happens. Because humans can't mutate because that would be out of flavor. Elves, on the other hand, completely fine.
The non-human thing is actually the thing I think is going to cause the most faff here.
Because people are going to try and mutate humans, and they're going to be like, nope.
People are going to forget that, and it's going to require backups, and it's going to require, like, what happens when you mutate a creature wrong is going to be a judge call that people are going to take a lot, and it's going to cause problems.
Yeah.
And particularly as the actual what you do there in the backup isn't clear because you've made an illegal play. I guarantee you that's going to be a nightmare.
It is. What's the final mechanic then?
So the final mechanic is Companion. This is a mechanic that is held by 10 legendary creatures in the set. And what it says is, if you meet a certain condition, a very specific condition, it's different for each card, then this card can be your companion. Companion.
Yeah.
So what that means is you can cast it. As long as your deck meets that criteria, you can cast it from outside the game, and
only once.
For once, though. Once you can cast it for once outside the game, and once it's in the game permanently. So what this actually means, if you don't know what outside the game means in practical rules terms, it means it's taking up a slot in your sideboard. So it's got to be one of your 15 if you're playing constructed formats. If you get it in draft, it's just got to be part of your draft pile.
The interesting one is that this is the first time ever that Commander's technically going to have a sideboard, because this creates a 1-card sideboard for Commander.
Yeah, so correct me if I'm wrong here, Sam, most Commander groups have some rules about outside the game cards.
From what I saw of a video by the Spike Feeders, what they said was that the rules committee will basically word it so that it's not in a sideboard, but it's basically in a place like the command zone.
Yeah, it's got its own little zone outside the game.
Yeah.
This is also going to confuse a lot of people.
Yeah, this is not a fun mechanic.
The thing that I think is going to be confusing about it is the fact that you don't put it in your deck. That's what I think is going to be confusing, because, you know, you would have thought all the cards in your deck Maybe not for standard players, because maybe you're a bit more used to having cards outside the game that you can still have access to in-game.
Yeah.
But for Commander players, certainly, I think that's a really weird idea that you can have a card outside the game that's not in your deck that you can still have access to.
There are a few cards that allow you to go searching for stuff in your sideboard. I mean, look, Modern has had the issue with the new Khan for a while now. That's the one that I'm thinking of.
It's a big thing in Legacy. Storm plays some of the wishes.
Burning Wish is the one I remember.
Glittering Wish turns up in Modern every now and again. Living Wish turns up in... I think Living Wish turns up in some Legacy Nitfic decks or some Legacy... What's the not Nitfic one?
Not nice fit. Bad fit. Fit.
Yeah, the wishes turn up occasionally. It's not that uncommon. The wishes are very, very, very anti-new player. They're very hard to get your head around because they don't actually say what they do.
Go looking for a card outside the game, but it doesn't specify that outside the game means sideboard.
Yeah, like the outside the game thing in casual terms does mean your entire Magic collection, and like
I have gone upstairs before and searched for a card in my rare folder because I searched outside of the game. Someone was annoying me, and I went, right, I'm going to end this guy's career.
Exactly.
I think if casual players can figure out how to use these, they're going to love them. Because, like, this is not just the sort of thing where you go, oops, I can cast it. Like, these are very, very specific deck building restrictions that you wouldn't do unless you wanted to play it. So, for example, the one they gave is Karuga?
The fat hippo.
Yes.
Oh, that guy.
Karuga, right. The macro sage.
Karuga!
And their specific deck building restriction is your starting deck contains only cards with converted mana cost 3 or greater and land cards.
Thank God they said land cards. Otherwise, that was going to get errated so hard.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. So so one thing I'm not looking forward to is this is going to make deck checks really difficult, and I'm not looking forward to that.
Well, because if someone's got a companion outside the game, someone's going to look and be like, dude, can I see your deck?
Well, the problem is you can't do that.
No, the onus becomes on the opponent to check the actual person's deck. But then the argument I've always heard is like you can technically sneak 5 of a card into a deck if you really wanted to, and most of the time you're not going to get found out. It's just the 1% of the time you do.
So I'm mostly thinking as if you want to play this at like a standard, if one of these becomes standard playable or modern playable or legacy playable or something like that, if you then have a GP where you've got to have deck checks and deck lists, this is how you stop people doing that instead of it just being honesty. Because you're right, but the vast majority of the time it's just honesty. But a deck check is normally fine because you're normally just checking against a list of cards to see if there's anything untoward in their deck. But in this one, you then have to check the entire deck through to make sure you're having the correct thing. And it's not necessarily illegal to have this in your sideboard and not check the deck. So it's like a big trust thing. And I don't think it will go to cheating. I don't think anybody will try and cheat these things in. I just think it's going to be a bit of a headache.
May I make a reconstruction about one of these commander cards, please?
Go for it. See,
I've got some inside information here. So this is so what we've got here is this is an actual reconstruction here. So we got Mark. Yeah, I'm designing one of the new companion cards. Oh, that's brilliant. Which one have you got? Oh, I've got the Is It one. So I want to make it as annoying as possible. Oh, brilliant. Okay. So what are you thinking? Well, since we're doing a lot of stuff with Commander, I thought that maybe its companion ability or cost could be that you have to have a different name for every card in your deck. Also, it goes straight slap banging into Commander. Exactly. I thought that was a brilliant idea. So I was thinking we could make it an elemental otter. Ooh, everyone likes otters. Yeah, we're doing a lot of otters. So I thought, let's make a rare otter. Okay, yeah. It's got flash. Okay, brilliant. That's a very blue thing. It is a blue thing. It's a 3/2. That's surprisingly good for a blue card. It is. It's a 3-color, and we're using hybrid mana. Ooh. And when it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, you get to copy an instant or sorcery that you've just played, and it gets a new target. Oh, that sounds really good. Oh, there's the phone. Hang on a second. Hello? Oh, Commander players, how are you doing? All right, fantastic. Bye. What they say? They said it's banned in Commander already.
Okay, yeah. The otter is both A, adorable, and B, apparently broken.
It is broken.
It is the fastest ban, I think, in Magic history. I know it's not an official format because it's not like one that Wizards of the Coast has. I think it is literally.
No, it's a sanctioned format.
Is it? I think this may be the fastest ban in Magic history, in that it is banned a month before it even releases.
I think it's tied. I think it's tied with Memory Jar, which was emergency banned in Standard before it was released.
I do, yeah. It's just it does make me giggle slightly that this is a thing, because me and you were talking, Will, about why is this broken in Commander? Why has it been banned? I believe the reason why it has been banned is because it starts outside the game. It's essentially a card in your hand that absolutely no one can deal with until you've cast it. So you've essentially got a Hail Mary win the game combo piece immediately outside the game, without any ability for anyone to interact with it. Because there are quite a few Commander decks that do need a copy target spell to then win the game. And you've now got that outside the game, so you don't need to draw into it. This just makes a lot of decks very consistent.
See, interestingly, and Sam, you might contradict me here. That's not actually the reason why I think it's been banned. I was under the impression it had been banned because this became an automatic include in basically every single deck that could cast it. Like, there's no reason not to run it.
Yeah.
No, 100%, because it doesn't go in the 100 either, does it?
Yeah. No, yeah, exactly. There's no cost to running it is the problem. You're entirely right, Hugh, because if you just cast this with Twin Flame, you win the game, which is dumb. But so that makes that way too consistent. But even if it was a 0/1 with, I don't know, Last Strike or whatever that mechanic was.
That was a good mechanic.
Oh, yeah.
Don't you make fun of Last Strike?
Exactly. Even if it was an awful card that cost 10 mana, it would still be banned, I think, because I think Josh Lee Kwai talked about this in his episode about it. Because it just gives an unfair advantage to Izzet decks for no cost, which is the problem.
It's not even just Izzet decks, though, is it? It's Izzet decks, every 3-color combination that includes red and blue, every 4-color combination that includes red and blue, and every single 5-color deck. You've just got no reason not to play it.
It gets really annoying when you realise that it's the only one of these companions that has a stipulation that you've met anyway in Commander.
Yeah.
It's not like you've got to build a Commander deck around that stipulation. This thing's stipulation is you're just playing a singleton format.
Well, the only thing I can, if we're just going to stay on this for another second, the only reason Wizards of the Coast printing this card is just that they knew it wasn't going to be played in Commander, and they just accepted it.
Wizards of the Coast have always been very, very upfront about the fact that they don't design for formats that are not Standard and Draft. They've always been very upfront with that. There's like, we don't design for Legacy, we don't design for Modern, we don't design for Pioneer now, because they, like, if they try and check every single card, it would be intolerable. So they'd rather just let it out there and ban whatever's bad. And I think it's definitely the same for Commander.
I will occasionally waggle my finger at that and point at something like Creeping Chill and be like, hey, don't tell me you didn't make this with someone going, hey, this would be great in Dredge.
No, somebody might have gone, oh, this is great in Dredge, but they designed it to be good with Surveil.
Yeah, I'm aware why they designed it, but I will say they don't design outside of Standard. Absolutely, when building, someone will look at a card and go, that'll make it into this deck.
Yes, yeah, I'm not denying that. But what I'm saying is they don't ever sit down and go,
We need to give John a new toy.
We need to give Blue-White Control a new counterspell, and we needed to give it them yesterday.
Blue-White Control doesn't need another counterspell. We'll stop trying to chill.
Shoot, they should reprint counterspell into Modern, the cowards.
To be fair, they should.
Okay, so moving on. We have all these nice cards, Hugh. But the plague.
I don't know why you're talking to me. I'm not introducing this one.
Sam, we've got all these nice cards, but the plague.
Well, Will, why are you trying to get us into your in-jokes about telling us that you've got an in-joke? You're like, oh, I've got a thing. Hey, Hugh, what about that thing we practiced? You've never spoken to me once in your life about this. Damn, why did he not know?
The madness is setting in. Leave me alone.
God. Sorry, don't worry. Sam, I'll help you out. Sam, we've got all these nice new cards, but the plague.
Oh yes, that was a different thing we might want to talk about, which is what they're doing with the pre-release. But that's a thing that we can do.
Do it at home.
Do it at home. Is Wizard of the Coast.
Do you want to buy a pre-release deck? Sure, we'll send it to your house. To be fair, I'll probably do that.
Yeah.
It might be quite fun, actually. So how can you play with your pre-release deck once you're at home? Well, there are several options. I'm so glad I asked.
Thanks, Sam. See, Will. Sam knew that we weren't going to respond, so he responded himself.
Shut up.
Oh, dear. Well, one way that I'm sure we're all familiar with is using a camera and setting up your own little... what was I going to call it? Your own little box, so you can film yourself playing Magic.
Go onto Omegle or Chat Roulette and play against strangers on the internet, in between them flashing their cocky.
You need to stop watching so many Pleasant Kenobi videos.
Yes.
Have you guys played Magic on video?
I've tried. I tried to do it. The issue I had was my camera ended up not being able to show as much of my table as I wanted, because my camera's quite small and it's not very high up. So I think if you want to do it, you're going to have a more, you're probably going to have a camera which can go quite high up. You can be like me and buy quite large recording rig for my microphone that I hang my camera off to do it, but it's still not the best.
There are quite a few home improvised camera rigs that you can find around on the internet.
The simplest one I've heard is a stack of books and a wired webcam.
That's kind of where I've been coming from. I've just been hanging my webcam off of my computer screen. That kind of works, but then again, it also takes away the top section of my computer screen because it's covered by a webcam. So it's not the best.
Yeah.
No, I think you've got to, all of the setups I've seen have been fairly extreme. I've seen some where they've just gone stack of books webcam or stack of books iPhone or phone and having 2 accounts, which I think is the easiest, but I don't think it's really viable. I've seen plenty of people doing this, particularly to play less popular formats. So I know people were doing it with Legacy and Modern and Canadian Highlander, but I'm not really sure how feasible it is in the long term.
It's a hodgepodge, and that's kind of what you have to do right now.
Yeah.
There are other ways to play Magic the Gathering, like Magic the Gathering Arena, which Hugh has been playing a lot of recently.
My love of Magic the Gathering Arena is well documented. I talk about how I play it most of the time, considering where I live isn't really the best place in the country to play Magic, considering there's one local game store and it's 4 foot by 4 foot wide.
And you hated that.
Yeah, they don't like it there either.
But there are lots of formats you can play on Arena.
Not many good ones.
Well, that's a spicy meatball you threw out there, Will. Spicy meatball. It's a spicy hot take there from Mr. William.
I stand by it.
It depends on what you want to play. Because if you want to do draft, Arena has got you covered, because drafting Arena is very, very simple and very, very easy. And you can do there's two kinds of drafting. You can do the traditional draft that is set as the current set that's out, so you can traditional Theros Beyond Death draft, or you can do a ranked draft where it will be a rotating once a week. They change the format, and you can just have a draft which is instead of best of threes, it's best of ones, and you do random ones. So drafting's a thing.
I found drafting much harder online than I have in person, but it's still really fun.
I think the annoying thing is you can't tell because it's an algorithm, it's very, very hard to tell if someone's cutting you on cards. Obviously, you can play standard. If you want to be one of the 5 people that play it, you can play historic. Brawl on Wednesdays, or you can play it other days.
They've actually got a guild hall event on right now. You can play Brawl wherever you want. Yeah.
It's free. As it should be.
As it should be, yeah.
No, definitely. And the one that, the thing that I would say, if you have Magic Arena right now, you don't have online, you have Arena, and you want to do Magic under quarantine, my best advice for you right now is to go and play the historic cube they've just put on. So Historic Cube's been on there for, I'm not quite sure, I think it's been on there for about a week now. It's all the cards in Historic, which is everything from, I believe it's Dominaria forward, because I don't think Cal.
I thought it was Ixalan. I thought it had Ixalan in it.
Yeah, was Ixalan before Dominaria?
Yeah.
Yes.
Then it's everything from Ixalan forwards plus the historic and anthology cards that they've also added. So stuff like Thalia, Garden of Thraben, and stuff like that. And so
that's not draft though, is it?
It's a cube.
No. But you don't draft the cube. It's sealed.
What? Yeah, it is sealed. What they've essentially done is they hand you, I think it's 5 packs worth. Yeah. So they hand you 5 packs. They hand you 45. No, that's 3 packs.
Oh.
Hugh, you can't do maths today apparently. 75 cards.
Oh, so 6.
They hand you 75 cards, I believe.
Now Sam can't do maths.
Now
no,
Sam
I
can't
can't
do
do maths.
It's 75 cards.
I accept my fate. Fine.
It's 75 random cards. So it's all the colors plus the dual colors and lands. Build a 40 card deck, and it's just good. It is just good fun because
I imagine that's fun.
It is very fun because I've looked at I've seen cubes that have been done in Magic Arena. I've seen power cubes and legacy cubes, and they've always looked really, really fun. And I've always kind of wanted to have a go at that, but obviously that's kind of a bit problematic. That you either have to get Magic Online or you got to have a guy with a power cube. So this is kind of the middle ground alternative, because I'd argue that Arena is easier to get into than online.
Almost certainly. Even just like so spoiler alert for in about a minute. Me and Sam have been playing a lot of online, and I've introduced a lot of people to Magic Online because I basically was the only person who played it, and I was like, we should all play it. And there's about 9 of us now.
And then we all started playing it.
Yeah. And Magic Online is an arse. It's horrible. It's horrible to learn.
There's kind of a reason why Wizards of the Coast have kind of been slowly abandoning it for the last X many years.
Yeah.
But no, it's if you want to get into it, since Will's given me a nice little time frame there, if you want to do a cube and you don't have, the X many hours to spend on Magic Online, and you just want to, pick up a surprisingly easy to learn UI, really, go on and do the Historic Cube. It's great fun. There's some really powerful cards in it. There's some really good kind of combo decks that can be made. There's lots of aggro decks, control decks. I mean, the first one I made was a 3-color tokens deck that cared about tokens. So it was stuff like tokens became 4/4 angels, and whenever a creature enters the battlefield, do this. Stuff like that. And it was just a fun deck to play. And yeah, I would 100% recommend it.
Are they Phantom, or do you get to keep the cards afterwards?
They're Phantom, annoyingly. They are Phantom, but in order to make it so that you can play it more often, it is half the price of a basic draft, and about I think it's something like a third of the price of an actual draft. So if you want to just go and play a cube, it's 300 gold or it's 300 gold or 3,000 gold or 300 gems. So it's rather cheap, actually, all things considered.
Yeah, that's
I
pretty
might actually
good.
go and try that.
I've not spent any money, and I've played like 10 of them. Because if you have a good enough draft deck, you get your money back from playing it for winning 4 ones, and it's best of, and you get to keep going till you lose 3. So the chances are you're going to get your money back for it, and you can just go again.
Or at least close, and you can get the rest on your daily quests.
No, absolutely. I've not had to go and buy gems to play this. I've just gone. I've played it for the last 3 or 4 days. It's just good-hearted fun.
So, if you would prefer to get your constructed on, though, me and Sam have a fun recommendation for you.
If you can get your head around Magic the Gathering Online, which has a horrible user interface, but if you can get your head around it, then you can build a really quite powerful commander deck for £1.
Is that how much a tick costs?
Yeah.
A tick with American tax is like £1 and 5p or something.
Blimey, okay.
So we've been playing that a lot, and it's been absolutely awesome. For example, I built a Merfolk deck that has an infinite combo in it.
That hurt a lot.
wait. Was it so? Is this pauper, or is this just commander for a tick?
So the rules are you have to build your deck on MTG Goldfish, the website, and when you're done, your entire deck, including commander, must come to less than or equal to 1 ticket.
Okay.
And then you buy it and you play it against other decks like this. And you can get some really, really horrible cards. For example, Mirari's Wake.
Is only 0.02 ticks.
Yeah. What was I playing the other day? Bloodchief Ascension.
Oh god, yeah. Mindcrank.
Mindcrank, yeah, that's an infinite combo right there.
Christ.
You can get all sorts of broken rubbish.
But you're telling me that I'm looking at my commander decks now, and I'm looking at those and thinking I would never be able to build any of those in this, would I?
Yes, exactly. And it's because lots of very, very powerful cards and lots of commander staples. For example, Rite of Replication.
They're just. I'm assuming because they're not played in any other format, they're just not worth anything.
They're not played in any other format. Commander's not terribly popular on Magic Online. And these cards tend to be very widely opened because of the treasure chest system on Magic Online, which is their way of introducing older cards and commander cards into the ecosystem. So lots of stuff from very old sets tends to be quite cheap on Magic Online. For example, as I discovered while playing Canadian Highlander, Ancestral Recall is about a ticket.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, Ancestral Recall's a ticket.
So... Because just people don't play it.
Yeah, people don't play it. People need one for vintage, and that's it.
So you can so pretty much if you want to, you can be like, yeah, mine. Like you can just buy that and have it for Commander.
Yeah.
Damn it.
So we've been playing quite a lot of 1-tick Commander, and these decks they're a very weird mix between standard legal jank and very powerful cards, and we've been having a hell of a time with it, haven't we?
Yeah, it's really been absolutely awesome. Grab yourself 3 friends, stick yourselves on Discord, and
and have a game. Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. You can do some really powerful commanders. So you were doing Sig, weren't you? Sig River Guide. I made a Vivictus Asmadi 3-color dragons.
That was really cool.
Which was very fun.
And you just kind of get addicted to the deck building as well, because
it only costs £1. Like the opportunity cost. Because we realised lots of people have been like not necessarily laid off, but like put on layaway from their jobs and stuff, and money can be an issue. Magic Online costs about £5 to get, and then these decks will cost £1 for you to build.
I thought the Magic Online was free.
It is, but you need to upgrade your account to a paid account to trade with bots.
And to add friends and things.
Is that how you get cards and stuff?
Yeah.
So how you get the cards is you build the deck on MTG Goldfish, and then MTG Goldfish has is interlocked with Card Hoarder, and then you can just put an order in with Card Hoarder. It does it all automatically. Remember to get rid of your lands because you get basic lands for free, and then Card Hoarder will come and deliver you the cards. Come and deliver you with a bot the cards, and then you can just import your deck list as text file into Magic Online, and boom, there you are, ready to go, one-tier commander.
I did always wonder how trading in it works. So like, oh, this is how you get the cards for online. And I was like, how does that work?
Strangely simple.
So it's literally just someone has, like, some account has the cards, and they're just like, we'll just trade them to you.
So Card Hoarder has, like, some ungodly number of accounts, where some of them just sit on the trade network, and, like, go, we have all of these really expensive cards in our collection, come and trade with us, and you can, like, keep them. And then they also have bots that, like, come and collect cards from there if you've ordered it from online, find you and your username, and then start trading with you and give you the cards that you've bought.
Okay.
Yeah. So, grab 4 friends, 3 friends, grab a Discord account, and go and play it. I would highly recommend it.
The amount of shenanigans has been ridiculous.
Yeah. Also, you can play shenanigans. Just putting it out there.
I can't wait to play shenanigans.
Yeah, I'll give you an example of how powerful this can be when you want it to be. Last night before last, I died to somebody playing High Tide into a Stormtide Leviathan, and then kicking a Right of Replication to copy it 5 times. That ended the game.
Oh, God. Another time Will died to a bunch of satyrs, including Banana Satyr.
Banana Satyr, yes. Satyr Tribal, legit. Tribal decks in this are actually really, really fun. They're a really good idea. And it also makes, like, really bad decks, like Satyr Tribal, can have a go.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Fun, budget, can't go wrong.
Would recommend. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10, we'll play again.
We'll play again.
In fact, we'll do. We'll do, in fact. Sam, we should play another game.
I was going to say, while you two have been talking, I have downloaded and created an account on a...
Yes, play with us, Hugh. Play with us.
So I need to figure out, oh God, that is ridiculously loud.
Yes, it is. It's stupidly loud. Yeah, we've basically got my entire PhD office playing it. It's great.
Fabulous.
Yeah. Also, do you know what also is legal because it's 0.002 ticks?
What?
Belladar Sovereign.
Oh.
I don't want to play this anymore.
I also think you can quite easily put Ugin the Spirit Dragon in there, because Ugin the Spirit Dragon is stupidly cheap online.
Really? Despite the fact this is a lot of playing Magic in Modern?
Yeah, because he was a promo.
Oh, of course, that makes sense.
Just troll through EDH, like, look at the prices. Some of the prices are wrong on EDH, right? Because it's just weird. Lightning Bolt is not 0.01 ticks. It's really not.
And on that note, I think we'll wrap it up there. Thank you ever so much for listening to Chillin and Millin. Keep yourself sane, keep yourself safe.
Yeah, keep playing Magic.
Yeah, keep playing Magic. Thank you, everybody, and good night.
Good night.
Good night.